This is the decision I have made. In cooperation with the armed forces of South Vietnam, attacks are being launched this week to clean out major enemy sanctuaries on the Cambodian-Vietnam border. A major responsibility for the ground operations is being assumed by South Vietnamese forces. There is one area, however, immediately above Parrot's Peak, where I have concluded that a combined American and South Vietnamese operation is necessary. Tonight, American and South Vietnamese units will attack the headquarters for the entire communist military operation in South Vietnam. This key control center has been occupied by the North Vietnamese and Viet Cong for 5 years in blatant violation of Cambodia's neutrality. This is not an invasion of Cambodia. The areas in which these attacks will be launched are completely occupied and controlled by North Vietnamese forces. Our purpose is not to occupy the areas. Once enemy forces are driven out of these sanctuaries and once their military supplies are destroyed, we will withdraw. These actions are in no way directed to the security interests of any nation. Any government that chooses to use these actions as a pretext for harming relations with the United States will be doing so on its own responsibility and on its own initiative, and we will draw the appropriate conclusions. And now let me give you the reasons for my decision. A majority of the American people, a majority of you listening to me, are for the withdrawal of our forces from Vietnam. The action I have taken tonight is indispensable for the continuing success of that withdrawal program.
A 1.5 million students demonstrated at colleges across the country. One of those demonstrations would be long remembered, Kent State University in Ohio. It began with a fire on May 2nd.
The fire at the Army ROTC building was spotted minutes after several hundred students rallied on the Commons, chanting anti-war slogans and tossing cherry bombs. Other students poured from the dormitories and began smashing the building with rocks.
In response to the violence, Governor Rhodes called in the National Guard.
After 2 days of rioting over ROTC and Cambodia, the university had banned rallies, and the National Guard stood by to enforce the ban. The warning was issued several times, but the students were angry and they stood defiant. Guardsmen were given the order to move out, but first the students were peppered with tear gas fired from rifle-like launchers. In moments, clouds of tear gas covered the center of the campus. The students fell back over a hill, answering the guardsmen with rocks. Suddenly, from over the hill, there was rifle fire. 4 students, 2 of them females, were shot to death. At least another dozen were wounded.
Everybody said they had blanks, but some of them had real bullets. They just looked like they fired up in the air, and I looked around, there's guys laying dead.
My best friend was murdered by the National Guard.
We were not ordered to fire. Each soldier fired when he thought that his life was in danger.
The Nixon administration was quick to come to the defense of the National Guard.
Had the rocks not been thrown, there would have been no chance of the killing.
She felt that war in Cambodia was wrong. Is this descent a crime? Is this a reason for killing her? Have we come to such a state in this country that a young girl has to be shot because she disagrees deeply with the actions of her government?
The killings at Kent State seemed to mark a climax for the anti-war movement. The war had come home. The government had fired on its own children.
Take 6. Ready.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Al. What about the casualties, Leslie? You got the figure yet?
No, sir, but I think it's going to be quite low. It should be last week or better.
Yeah, it should be less than 20. 20, I would think, yeah.
This would be very...
when do you get that? Do you know?
We don't get it officially till Monday afternoon, but we can get a reading on it.
Right, well, Monday afternoon officially. Well, let's wait till then. Fine. Okay. Nothing else of interest in the world
Yes,
today?
sir. Very significant. This goddamn New York Times expose of the most highly classified documents of the war.
Oh, that. I see. I didn't read the story, but you mean that was leaked out of the Pentagon?
Sir, the whole study that was done for McNamara and then carried on after McNamara left by Clifford and the peaceniks over there. This is a devastating security breach of the greatest magnitude of anything I've ever seen.
Well, what's being done about it then? I mean, I didn't... did we know this was coming out?
No, we did not, sir.
Yeah.
There are just a few copies of this.
But what about the
volume report?
But what about the? Let me ask you this though. What about Laird? What's he going to do about it? Now I just start right at the top and fire some people. I mean, whatever department it came out of, I'd fire the top guy.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm sure it came from defense, and I'm sure it was stolen at the time of the turnover of the administration.
Oh, it's 2 years old then.
I'm sure it is, and they've been holding it for a juicy time, and I think they've thrown it out to affect Hatfield McGovern. That's my own estimate. But it's something that it's a mixed bag. It's a tough attack on Kennedy. It shows that the genesis of the war really occurred during 61.
Yeah, that's Clifford. I see.
And it's brutal on President Johnson. They're going to end up in a massive gut fight in the Democratic Party on this thing.
Are they?
There's some very...
But also massive against the war.
Against the war.
But it's a Pentagon study, huh? But absolutely, but I just say that we've got to keep our eye on the main ball. The main ball is Ellsberg. We got to get this son of a bitch. And you know, I was talking to somebody over here yesterday. I mean, one of the PR types, and they're saying, well, maybe we ought to drop the case if the Supreme Court doesn't sustain and so forth. And I said, hell no. I mean, you can't do that. You can't be in a position of having, as I said this morning, we can't be in a position of ever allowing, just because some guy's going to be a martyr, of allowing the fellow to get away with this kind of wholesale thievery, or otherwise it's going to happen all over the government.